All right, everyone. About a week ago, I had to analyze polling because Trump was at the lowest point in a trough within his polling. Again, before anyone jumps down my throat, I do not trust the polls. I do trust polling aggregates. There is a difference. If you know anything about political analysis, you'll understand why they're different. One or two data points is different from dozens of data points. If you look at a long-term trajectory of Trump's approval, his lowest point in his presidency was back last October, thereabouts. His average at the time hovered a little bit below 42%. That is, on a given day, his highs were 44, 44.5, his lows were in the upper 30s, and if you averaged it out, if you looked at the line of best fit, it was roughly at 42 or a little below, 41.5 or something. Now his new approval rating, at the moment, if you, again, follow that line, is about 45, or a little higher, 45.5. His lows are around 44 or a bit below. His highs are at about 48. And within that statistical noise, you can find roughly the middle, the average. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the exact number, but within that range is probably the real number. You got a 99% chance that it falls somewhere within there. If you were to truly poll every politically active individual and hold an election with 100% turnout, you would expect one of those to be the number. By the way, Trump would lose in such a situation, and that's where turnout comes in. Turnout, differential turnout in age demographics. The Democrats tend to do better with the youth, which doesn't turn out as much. The Republicans tend to dominate the older generations, which turn out at much higher rates. You've got a huge enthusiasm gap. Of the last 5 elections, I think this is the second highest enthusiasm gap, actually. I think it's not near the enthusiasm gap between McCain and Obama, but it's quite high. 6 points higher than it was in 2016. Keep in mind, of course, Hillary Clinton lost, specifically because of depressed turnout in places she didn't bother to campaign in. Biden's not campaigning anywhere right now, and neither is Trump. It'll be very interesting to see how this plays in the election. Trump, of course, having legendarily high approval within his party, that's going to help, especially when enthusiasm among the GOP is simply organically higher right now because the Democratic candidate is a dish rag. Trump's approval hit 44.1 about a week ago. That was a few tenths of a point below what I would expect to see the bottom being. That is that it was the lowest bottom within that trend, and what could be happening right now is a stabilization of approval. If that happens, at least for the meantime, Trump's approval average will be about 46. By the way, that's survivable, and he's capable technically of winning the election at that number. The lowest approval of the winner so far has been with Obama's re-election at 47. That was the magic number. It was barely above that. That is now used as the gold standard of re-election numbers. I think it's lower. I think that if you include turnout, enthusiasm, things like that, you could probably be at 45 and win. That being said, I expect Trump to be higher than that on Election Day, and also his trend could still be going upward. We need a couple more weeks of polling points in order for me to make that determination. My expectation is a short-term stabilization. At this point, he's obviously not dropping off the face of the earth. That's not happening. You had a Gallup poll that showed him in the positive range, actually, recently. It's funny because Gallup polls are always parroted as being really, really accurate when they show Trump down. The legacy media loves to do that. They never talk, all of a sudden they start talking about Quinnipiac or YouGov or something when those ones are the ones showing him down. It's almost like everyone cherry picks polls to see what they want to see. I don't. I might be the only political analyst at this point that's neither waiting nor cherry-picking polls. And it really, really pisses me off because there are people that know better. Nate Silver knows better. Some of the online commentators, YouTubers, independent commentators, they're weighting their polls. They're cherry-picking to say, oh, this Gallup poll shows Trump at his highest approval. Like again, about a week ago, Trump was at a low point within his statistical trend. There were people saying, well, he's at the highest point of his presidency. Gallup has his approval at 49%. Wow. Fuck Gallup. It's an outlier. It's an outlier poll within a period of time in which Trump actually is stabilizing. He's not rising quickly. He has very slowly risen about 3.5 points on average since last October. This gives him the election if that trend continues. And I expect that at the 11th hour, he'll probably get a spike in approval. Because when the debates are held, and I'm sure that he's going to push to have debates, it'll be Biden. The Democrats are saying Trump doesn't want to debate Joe. Bull goddamn fucking shit, dude. It's Joe Biden and his staff that don't want the debates to happen. They will do everything in their power to at least make them digital only. so that they don't have the optics of Trump meandering around on stage, leering at someone who is clearly his intellectual inferior. They don't want that to happen. Remember what happened in 2016? All the Democrats thought that Hillary Clinton knocked it out of the park. Independent voters heavily thought that Trump won in the debates. In poll after poll after poll, scientific or non-scientific, except for the first debate that was close to a tie. It's very interesting. Trump's approval, though, now is at 44.6. So it's half a point higher than that trough. I would expect probably it's going to stabilize, again, around the 45.5 mark, a little bit higher maybe. That's kind of what I expected. At this point, you don't have any real active campaigning going on, except on Twitter, which is an echo chamber. Basically, the people that are paying attention to Biden and Trump on Twitter or whatever, they've made up their minds. They're not easily swayed. The independent voters that are still, on the fence, and people who simply lean GOP, lean Dem, that 15-20% of the voting public is what needs to be swung in one direction or another. I have a goddamn sneaking suspicion that the left is going to prevail upon Biden and convince him to move to the left in an election in which you definitely don't want to do that. And he can never move far enough left to increase the youth turnout among communist voters, among the commie crowd, the bread tubers and stuff like that. They'll get behind Biden, kinda. Oh yeah, I endorse Joe Biden, but they're not going to be enthusiastic. 9/10 of them won't even vote. Even if it's mail-in, look, these people probably, they don't even know how to send a letter half the time. The younger generations, they don't even teach them in school probably at this point how to address a letter. There are people that are 17, 18 years old, they don't even know what a street address is. Everything's handled by their phones, so it's a little bit different. You'd need to have like ballots by Twitter or something like that at this point. Why don't we set it up so you can just send in your forms via Twitter DM to an official government handle? Be just as just as secure as the mail anyway, which is to say not at all. Vote harvesting will definitely be a problem in this election. But Trump's approval has stabilized, at least, and might even be ticking upward again. This is what I expected. This was what I calculated had the best chance of happening. He wasn't collapsing. It was just a statistical anomaly within his long-term trend. Probably stabilizes for a month or two, then begins the steady march upward. I would favor him to be at 48, 49 on election day. That gives him the election with 90% probability he gets reelected. That's what I expect. That's about all. Peace out.